Your the recording has started. This session is no longer being recorded. The recording has started.
Greetings, welcome. This is, hopefully we're catching everything going here. This is Christine Van Pelt on Gibson County, Indiana, State Coordinator and Lead Recording Secretary for the Indiana Assembly. It is Monday, January the 15th of 2024, and this is the General Assembly, and I missed changing that there, but in the display agenda, but I'll update that. And, well, actually, I can go ahead and do that right now. The General and Militia Assembly. And now, reminder, what is the militia? We the people, we're the militia. That means all of us, men and women, preferably over the lawful age of 21. Some can even start training at 16 to support or providing support services and training, as long as their parents or grandparent is a national and did their baby deed process for them. And but it's for community support services. It is not anything like the National Guard. It's us, we the people, for us to help each other in the community. All right, so let's go ahead and get things going. Again, this is Monday the 15th of 2024, January 24, excuse me, it's the 15th of January 2024, the Indiana Assembly. This is the General Assembly and Militia Assembly. We are in session. So we want to take a moment and honor our Creator. All right, so we'll go keep things moving along here. Joe Hayes, our PKTF Executive Director for the Peacekeeper Task Force and our Area 4 Postal Chief, he's not able to make the call this evening. He is traveling for his work, and so he's in the mountains and having some connectivity issues, and with the travel, it's not best for him to the weather's not great. He's in the mountains, so he needs to be able to focus on his safety. He did want to apologize and share that information, as well as he sent me some info about what he was going to talk about, so we'll go over that briefly later on. All right, so we'll go ahead with the Bivens decision. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting or call that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the first time? You'll need to you can post in the chat whether you are. You don't have to leave the call, but you must inform us ahead of time, depending on what your intent and purpose is here for. But you do have to identify yourself. And you can leave that in the comment. If you are joining us on free conference call, please leave a comment in the chat to make sure and state your first name. Same thing on YouTube. Leave a comment in the chat with your first name and what county on Indiana that you are on, so that we can make sure that we get you included in the meeting minutes as being present for this week's assembly call. Excuse me. Okay, hearing and seeing none in either. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing and seeing none. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? All right. I want to take a moment because I think I may be able to get Rumble. I may be able to add one in for Rumble real quick here. Let's see. I can use, or I may have set it for it, so it may be on live already for Rumble. All right, so let's finish up the Bivens decision. So, furthermore, hearing none seeing none in the chats. Furthermore, anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here, must fully disclose their presence and purpose now and leave the premises or conference call. No one can attend any of our meetings in secret or in private without answering to a roll call or without announcing or declaring their presence. So, excuse me. So if you're joining us on free conference call like we did with the new member orientation call, that one of 3 sessions that started again today. We do those 3 weeks in a row, then off 3 weeks for now at this point for new member just for those, for all new members, obviously, and all those that are interested in correcting their status so that they can get an idea of what's involved, and this will support them as well. But it's also, if you're attending the free conference call with us, you're either going to need to be able to have access to your microphone and camera as well, and or the ability to chat in the chat box and identify yourself, because I will be asking if you don't identify yourself, and I do, and I will after opportunities. If you're not able to or not going to respond, I'll remove you. But you are welcome to follow along on the live calls. All right, let's keep going. All right, so again, this is January the 15th of 2024. The Indiana General Assembly and Militia are in session. At this point right now, I am on Gibson County. Joe was not able to attend as I stated earlier in his travels. We'll be going through the reminder of Anna's coordinator training, go through some updates, the correct elections process and key offices to fill, and a run through of Anna's recent articles. The coordinator's mission: we cannot fail. We're willing and able to do this work physically and mentally, emotionally and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the du jour into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. Why wouldn't we, right? Because we're their creditors. We own it all. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline this year. It can be done in 2024. It depends on you, the people, right? We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. We conduct ourselves with peace and love. And we don't hide. All right, so classic signs of infiltrators and behaviors of the deeply indoctrinated. So there are those that are called agent provocateurs, or infiltrator. One employed to associate with suspected persons and by pretending sympathy with their aims, to incite them into some incriminating action. And if you'll notice the definition example that it gives, the government used agent provocateurs to try to undermine the opposition party, right? Because that's what they do. Infiltrator is a noun, an informer, a stool pigeon, counter spy, double agent, sleeper, spy, master, super spy. Then there's those lurkers, the one that likes to hide or hide in ambush. They want to be on the call, stomp their feet to get onto the call, but then refuse to turn a camera on and refuse to identify themselves. And they just want to sit back and just observe. When we're actually here to we're the people. We're actually here to actually communicate with each other. That communication's a two-way street. That means you have to communicate, not just it all one way coming from me. And it is engagement. That means you too have to engage, get involved, start attending, start supporting, start getting involved. Then there's the participation. That means you too commit to doing something, follow through with doing something, and then report what you did, right? So that we can be able to this is how you get things moving forward. U.S. citizens expect and wait for others to do it for them. We're Americans that are self-governing. You want to be we the people. This is how to be we the people. That means you have to do something. Okay? That means you have to communicate. You have to be engaged in what's going on, and you have to actually participate. We're not here to try and reform what's going on. Nor are you here to try and enforce us to do what you want us to do. We have the process already outlined, provided for us by the founders. We're under the purview of the Federation, and this is how we will follow the guidelines. We are not, if you want the same thing that's in the sea and air jurisdiction, you can stay there. You're not bringing it here, nor are you going to try and force it, impose it on us either. And there are those that want to try to do that, to hide and lurk around and try to ambush, trying to see, I got you on this one, or I'm going to try and get you on that. That's not what we're here for. We're here to lawfully and peacefully reconstruct this government through this restoration process. All right, so classic signs. First thing, they want to attack the leaders such as their state coordinator. It's always for some reason because they think they want things to be different. They don't want to do what the coordinator says because they're sure they're man on the land and they know better when they haven't walked it. They don't even know what this is really about. But of course, it's the coordinator's fault. Or blame it on Anna or James. Those are classic signs. Or they want to attack the foundational elements. They want to change the paperwork. There's something they want to change with that. They don't like that. They want to do a different autograph that's parse syntax, that's copyrighted by Gould Russell J. Gould. He copyrighted parse syntax in the use and how it's in the name. So therefore we cannot publish it to a public record. So don't try. Some want to push different processes. They want to do it differently. There's a process already established. Or they want to change the assembly process. They don't want to follow the same rules, but they want to set up rules for others to have to follow. Or they don't want to do it that way. They want to do it differently. There's a process already established. They want to attack any progress made so far. Want to divide and conquer. They want to start trying to hold secret little meetings elsewhere and start gossiping with each other and try to create division between, try to create negative thoughts about somebody to try and get them onto their side. There's all these various ways of infiltration. Or it's also that they're deeply indoctrinated because this is the only way they've ever known how to do things, and they think they're taking control. They think they're being self-governing, and they clearly don't see that it's all the same tactics as what's out there in the sea and air jurisdiction. And we're not here for that. Okay. The mission statement. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational. Welcome, Darren, Johnson County. I see you on YouTube. All right. So our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system, serving the people of Indiana. So pay attention to the mission statement. There's several items within here. All right? So we're dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system serving the people of Indiana. 1. Okay? That's our primary, our key one that we're starting with. And that's the General Assembly on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. But it all stems from the General Assembly. So that's why we're here, to get things going here as well. Then there's the preservation of the National Trust. Okay, well that that's work that's done through the General Assembly as well. It all stems from the General Assembly. Everybody comes through the General Assembly first, and then depending on what the various needs are that needs to be handled, starts with the General Assembly directing that. Then there's the enforcement of the public law. There's the upholding of the federal Constitution owed to our state and people. The repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction. That's what we're doing. Every time 2 people on each county put their paperwork on the record to declare their status, they're repopulating that county. The filling of vacated public offices. That's where we the people, actually step up and fill the roles. We're not filling the roles of the de facto offices. Keep the de facto completely out of this. It's not like we're getting you set up to go sit in an office in one of those seats over there. It is not that at all. We're having to actually fill all the offices from the land jurisdiction, and that's the people. You want it to be we the people. This is what we the people means. You the people doing it, filling the roles, performing the services. And the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. Okay? And that's going to be things that start with has main core in the General Assembly, but also lead into the Business Assembly, because that's going to be areas that could be dealing internationally and globally right? And only straight up citizens are eligible to support in those areas, because there cannot be any dual citizenship, no loyalties to other countries. And that's the key difference between a national and a citizen. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers. And we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. We have value statements. We stand under the laws of nature, the laws of nature's God, the Ten Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business. And that's from a ethical perspective, not for those that want to think that it's their own business so that they decide where it goes and what money goes where and things like that, from directly with personal gain and intent. That's not how that is. It's having the honor and the integrity to respect it and protect it for the people, on behalf of the people. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. Actually report crime. We don't allow the crime to occur and then deal with whatever consequences they want to throw out. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. We're not here to show up as the whiner, the complainer. We're not here to show up of we only want to focus on the questions that one has. It's about how we can all move forward together. We do not and we will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assembly militias operated as they're supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshal Service. We perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established and for supporting the restored American government, the reconstruction thereof, and will become responsible for the conduct of the Confederation and Federal Republic. All right. At this point, I want to take a minute real quick and add Johnson County as being present with us on YouTube, so we can have that for the record. All right. Okay. Now, there are 4 pillars. You will hear this often. Get to know this, because this is our foundational pieces of what holds up the assembly. Okay, you'll see it here, pillars here. Okay, because you are the government, you the people, you are the people to do this. So there's 4 pillars. The General Assembly, this provides a discussion and decision forum for intrastate business, and that's intrastate, within the state business, and acts as a committee of the whole to decide issues of general interest, conducts elections, and provides oversight for all assembly functions. That's why the General Assembly is the key. This is the main one. Everybody is in the General Assembly. And then it depends on what's needed for the other areas. Everyone is in the militia, because we are all part of the militia. Okay? General Assembly has some nationals depending on what it's for, but it's mostly citizens. And then the Business Assembly is all citizens. And that's because it's conducting business in the international and interstate, so state to state and country to country of the assembly. Then third, the General Assembly is that it's the court services. We, the people, providing the actual court services and oversee the grand jury, trial jurors, juries, officers, and functions of the courts. That's the key. That's the big one. Once we're actually holding and actively able to run courts, do the whole court process from the taking the case in all the way through to determining the case, have that completely where you can actually walk through that and flow through that. That's when the state is actually, the assembly will start being recognized by the de facto as being a legit government. Okay, is when that state assembly actually stands up from the perspective of they can actually hold a court. They can go through and walk through that process of actually holding a court to be able to serve the people. Okay, key point. All right, then the assembly militia is focused on promoting public safety within the boundaries of the state and is well-regulated militia guaranteed to each state for international security. So it's not going out for regularly scheduled military practice and you're out in fatigues and you got to do this on a regular basis. No. According to the Castle Doctrine, you have the right to choose your choice of weapon of how you're going to defend your own castle, and because of that you will already have your own weapons. That's why the militia is well regulated. It takes care of the people take care of their own weapons and their own training, because it's going to be based on what their needs are, not a mass training on everything. Okay, now there's going to be a lot of mass training in the sense of like community first aid. That's one of the main things that we'll be dealing with is first responders, because we're the actual first responders. Don't look for what's considered the fire department, the police out there or anything, because even they'll tell you they really aren't going to be that first responder, because unless, and not a lot of times, they really have to actually already be on scene before they're actually a first responder. 9 times out of 10, they're somewhere else and they have to wait before they even get the call. Then they have to get suited up before they ever get out to you. So you yourself are actually the first responder. And this is how we all are going to be going through first aid training, CPR training, so that we can be able to help support each other. Learning how to be able to start building up food supply, safe water, so that we can have drink and sanitary needs, things like that. Learning how to work together amongst each other as a community to support that. All right, updates. So and this is going along with the goal of communication, engagement, and participation. Because Joe, our postal area chief, is getting big into using Telegram, and the other states have been using Telegram. We were on Telegram at the very beginning. But it was getting a little bit out of little crazy at the point. So I've reestablished Telegram over this past weekend. And so here is the link to join us on Telegram. We're just starting this up again, literally over this past weekend. So give time, but make sure you get in there and get joined so we can start. This will be another form of communications, because we have the evidence that Google and Proton Mail, Yahoo, the free email servers are purposely blacklisting bouncing emails coming from any of the assemblies. Okay, so a lot of the messages, emails, are not even getting to people, and that's why I've been trying to send out for a way to be able to get you to actually confirm your email and show you how to be able to try and get Google or Gmail, Yahoo, Proton, get their server to accept the email coming, but it's been very difficult to get that first email to people to even get that starting process to go through that confirmation process, because even if you've gone through that whole step of you went online and you created that you wanted to be added to that, there's a second step. There has to be a confirmation, and if you don't confirm it and you don't go through your own email server, I can't approve on your own email server. I can't tell your email server to not put the email in spam or junk folder or promotions or anything like that. My hands are tied. There's nothing I can do with that. So here are ways that we can overcome those issues by still getting together, and we can connect on Telegram. So here is the channel, and right now I have a group started for new member orientation. For general members, so even those that haven't completed paperwork yet and you're interested, so we can start walking and supporting you through that process there, and maybe we can start helping to open up communication, get engagement going on, and getting more participation. And that a view of that is here, so you'll know it's us. The channel's called At Home on Indiana, but the username is the at symbol home on Indiana. I think it was because of previous using the channel that I had at home on, or previously using Telegram a few years ago. I may have had at home on Indiana at the time, so I couldn't use the at word within it. But that's how you know that it's for us. To be able to join and support us. I've also done the same as Joe and created Linktree, where it has a listing of all the common links, most popular links that I would be sending you to. Okay, so that's linktr.ee/Indiana Assembly. And first thing here, if you want to book a consult or you're ready to record, here's the link to my schedule for it. If you want to search Anna's articles by topic, I'm going to tell you first thing. If you've emailed me with questions, go here to search on them for the articles by topic search, word search, that type of thing. Even if you have an article number but you don't have the article name, or you have an article name but you don't have an article number, you can do it through the search. If you're ready to correct your status and you are looking for paperwork, correct your status and chart your course tab is going to give you both of those. The correct your status is the one-way 1779 fast track path, and then chart your course starts adding in more meatier information paperwork for you. There's the link to the 50 state site. Here's the link to PKTF News for Joe, which he gave me some info, and I will walk through that a little bit later in a few minutes here. And I'll do that right after I do this, before I get back to the presentation. Well, no, I'll do that shortly though. Here's the At Home on Indiana website. Here's the Assembly website. Here is the link directly to join us on Telegram for the main channel. Here's the link for a free conference call. The calendar is there as well. Here's to join us on Locals, Odyssey, YouTube, and here is info on LinkedIn about myself. All right, so let's go ahead, and so that's Linktree has been set up. So now it'll be a main place to be able to keep all the main links that are predominantly used throughout. All right, go ahead and get my screen to switch back. It's pausing a moment. There we go. All right, so again, Anna on Thursdays this is part of the goal of educate. Those that are interested in being co-coordinators on the state, or interested in being county coordinators, if you're interested in learning more about the role of coordinator, at least present the minimum of 1779, 2 witness testimonies, and your photo ID verification of currently living on Indiana in order to be able to participate. Or you are welcome to go to the recording replays here. It's on Rumble. The user is Mop and Bucket. All right, and a reminder that this is being provided by Anna and the Federation. It's not from the Assembly, so I have no issue. It's not up to me about whether or not you're going to get in or not. It's as far as from their end, or how they're handling the training, anything like that. If there's tech issues, I don't have anything on that. All I can do is, if you are interested and you have at least presented the bare minimum, then I can be able to send you the link to be able to get in on the call live. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to go to the replays. All right, and continuing on with that, here again is the link for the replays, and because she brought it forward in this article of clarifications for assemblies as to why she was bringing forward a training for the coordinators. All right, so again, if you are joining us on either YouTube or in free conference call, please put your first name and what county on Indiana that you're currently living on, so we can make sure and include you in the records, the minutes for being on the call with us. In the very first call that we had, it was brought, I think it was the very first call, from middle of December when we started this, and it was brought up about Faith Monument. So if you haven't heard about Faith Monument, you don't know anything about Faith Monument, here's a short video and then here's a long documentary to give you more information. And the assemblies are possibly thinking about like a family trip with the assemblies of going there. Plymouth, yeah, I think is, and the focus is for November. All right. So, and hopefully we can get things rolling along with the prosperity cards in time, and that's not, and the finances for that won't be an issue to be able to support Indianians to be able to make that very life learning trip. Traveling adventure, right? Okay, so here's some briefs on December 20, because the process has been a training for one call, and then the next call Q&A relative to that training from the week before. So the 28th, December 28th, Honor shared about that Queen Elizabeth II coronation oath, social contract violation, fraud, was she had abdicated her throne like 3 days afterwards. But she also brought up that I think she said it even went back to Queen Anne, where Queen Anne was the sovereign for England and stepped up to be for Europe, and you can't be a sovereign for more than one country. It's like you can't be a citizen to multiple states here. You can't. You're not a sovereign anymore. You can only be sovereign to the land that you're on. Okay? So she abdicated her sovereignty when she went to try and capture all of Europe. January 4th's call was going through some of the questions from the previous training. So why and how state assemblies recognize the Federation, are the lawful government of their states of the Union, and hold of co-contemporaneous general jurisdiction, summoning authority. So you can read through here going through there. She did bring up about to watch the musical film 1776. Here's a trailer about it, and you can then learn more about finding the video itself. And then here is a link to where Anna went through several of the questions directly that were multiple questions within. And Terry brought up that for this link here is a great support tool for how to set up a grand jury, but it also just defines the Ex parte Milligan case and its significance. And take notice that this case occurred on Indiana. Just want you to know if you've read the Ex parte Milligan at all. All right. So now this is so I did this, created this chart for last week's Jural Assembly, so the update information was in theirs as well, because it was we didn't have on the first for New Year's for our General Assembly call. All right, so we did welcome home a national on Hendricks County on January the 3rd, so we welcome him to the family here. We do have to have, so based on information from going through these training calls directly from Anna, what I've gathered is that we also have to have 2 on each county to consider it that county populated. So I've updated the list to show that of those we have 15 that are actually populated, because there's at least 2 on that county, and you'll be able to see in the list they're the ones in green. Those that do have at least 1 populated, there are 16 of those counties, and there are 31 counties that people have at least one man or woman has said, hey, I'm interested in some information, but they haven't put their paperwork on the record yet. So you'll see here I didn't give totals of how many are in process for each state, other than there's over 400 that are in process. PU on the list are those that are papered up. They don't quite have everything that's completely armored up that would be considered eligible as a citizen actively participating with the assembly. And then it also identifies how many declared federal persons there are that have declared their status. All right, so there's that information. All right, so in the previous call that was relative to this that I thought was important was that Anna was addressing California, because California is one of the handfuls of the 3 to 5 states that are at the point where they've requested for the review with the Federation to be able to stand up on their own. And so this was the advice provided by Anna relative to California. The proper thing is to all stand down and do the elections properly. It's the only way to guarantee that the officers are actually seated. Put together an election committee of qualified jurors, identify offices to be filled, open nominations, and do any new vetting that needs to be done. 30 days from now, close nominations. Set date of election 30 days hence. Prepare for and advertise elections. Hold the elections. Count the ballots. Announce results. Set date of office affirmation event. Do the public affirmation, and that's it. All right, so, and we'll go into that, but we're going to need to establish an election committee of qualified jurors to be able to, for this type of a role, it's an election committee, and they're going to be jurors in this. They're going to identify what all the offices are to be filled, which we have them listed, which will be on the next slide here. And going through that process, because it's key that we need to make sure status correction paperwork is correct, And then the election process to seat each one is done correctly. Okay? Now, for state and county courts, very important to have a marshal at arms deputy and deputies appointed to the county level until proper county assemblies can elect their county marshal at arms. So that's why that's going to be important. Duties of a marshal at arms based on Anna's article, the call to actual public office, and then there's articles within here. Other articles listed, which you can go to the Linktree link and you can go to search Anna's articles and you can put those article numbers in to get those, as well as looking up information about oaths and affirmations, which those links are here. The General Assembly Handbook, Constitutional Law Enforcement Seminar. So these are going to be key to start paying attention to. Now, the key roles we need to focus on right now, this is because we were focusing on the state level first, in that because there's only a few counties that are even, have at least 2 on their county. So we'll start at the state level, because once we can get the state level standing, then that's when the state can be recognized as a government. And here are the various offices and what status for those different roles. Right now, the 3 key roles that we need to focus on for the General Assembly, but they will be needed for each one of the pillars, all 4 pillars, then for each of the counties. But right now, for the General Assembly, we need the chairman pro tem, and we're using the term pro tem for these roles in that because it's only until actively standing. Okay, once actively standing, then then the pro tem term is removed, because there's a lot of process things that need to be done that cannot come from the state coordinator. It has to come from the General Assembly chairman or chairwoman for it to be recognized. Okay. A state coordinator, they do not recognize, but yet if it's coming from an assembly chairman, then that means that they've gone through an election process to even be that chairman, right? So that chairman pro tem, and their role is to be a spokesman or a speaker for the people. It's not about their personal agenda. It's not about personal business that they want to try and push through. They're the actual speaker for the people. So that's why for the General Assembly, so what the people say within the General Assembly is what's coming through from the chairman on different things. Marshal at Arms, key. Marshal at Arms. Marshal at Arms will then be that one will have deputies within the counties to be able to support each of the counties. As we move forward, that way there is a lead for the Marshal at Arms roles. And then Secretary. This should be pro tem on here. They all are actually pro tem, but right now these are the key ones. Secretary. And this is not a recording secretary. This is a General Assembly secretary, and it'll be like this for the Business Assembly, General Assembly, and the Militia Assembly, but a secretary. The one that will be putting together the agenda. The one that is the collector of, as the committees have been doing their work and they've got information to be able to put on the agenda, they are presenting that then to the secretary. The secretary then combines that all into here. The secretary keeps track of the minutes and all the documentation that goes with it and all that aspect. So these are the key roles that we need to focus on right now. The secretary can be an ASN, but the chairman and marshal at arms have to be citizens in that, because there cannot be any loyalty to anything other than Indiana. Here again are links about the different assembly offices and the call to public office that will give you more details about each one of the roles. All right, so Here are the articles from Anna this week. There's two in particular that I really want to do a walkthrough with you. That is this one, Article 4599. Stop using old processes. Many, and as you can tell, that many have gone to Anna as well. It's been happening, but many have also been coming here on Indiana trying to follow through with the Form 56 process. What was that about? That's naming the British Territorial Secretary of the Treasury as your trustee and to surrender the municipal franchise person to the British Territorial Treasury, 1789, was to protect your assets' existence from the Chapter 7 involuntary bankruptcy and bulwark the British Territorial Treasury with the assets, while making the Secretary of the State, or the Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, accountable for it. Okay, so this was you've heard the term, I'm sure, straw man. Many of them want to use this term to be able to collect on their straw man. This was the purpose of what that was for in the beginning, was to roll all the assets attached to your name to safe harbors. This action took the air jurisdiction assets and landed them, make this a little bit bigger, and landed them in the jurisdiction of the sea, where they weathered the storm in Chapter 11. Okay, well, now in years since then, equal protection clauses have been invoked, and even persons that were not moved by Form 56 individual transfer action have been safeguarded and rolled home to the land and soil jurisdiction as of 2016. So obviously all those instructions and actions were taken at a specific prior time for specific purposes related to the now resolved federal bankruptcies and no longer apply 8 years later. You should no longer be doing any of that. Please use your heads. When you go to AnnaVonRights.com, you're reading a steadily accumulating compendium of information and topics laid down day after day, year after year. Especially in dealing with the federal contractors, things change constantly. Processes change, the meaning of words change, even the offices that perform functions change. Even public records and court cases regularly disappear because they change their cataloging schemes like teenagers change clothes. We call this moving the cheese, and it requires constant adjustment as time goes by. So start with the most recent articles at the bottom of that long list. It's over 4,500 now. And read the articles backwards to get grounded with what's current. When you see something from years ago, ask yourself, is this current? Is this what we're doing now? Probably not. We're living and growing and changing every day, bringing new resources to bear, developing new answers, and streamlining everything. All right? We're streamlining as we go too. Your state assembly has the latest news, so ask them what's current now. All right? So email your coordinator with your questions, but it's also look at more recent articles. All right. So this is a key one on, this is Article 4601, International Public Notice, the power of the state assemblies. I'll get this to shift here. Okay. The true wheelhouse of power and voice of the people of this country is vested in their American State of the Union. This is owing to the fact that two of these populations, though born here and raised here, they've adopted foreign citizenship. Okay? They've still adopted a foreign citizenship, even though they were born here and raised here. The citizens of the British Territorial United States have adopted U.S. citizen status, which makes them indentured servants of the British monarch. The citizens of the municipal United States have adopted citizenship of the United States, which makes them slaves of the Pope. Americans, by contrast, who adopt and claim their birthright political status are not citizens at birth and cannot voluntarily adopt citizen stateship until they're at least 21 years of age. As well as Americans can own land in this country. British territorials and municipal citizens cannot. Americans are owed every jot of the constitutional guarantees and the law of the land. British territorials are owed the law of the sea. Municipal citizens are basically owed nothing and are in abject slavery. There are now 50 general assemblies populating and holding all 50 states. Each of these assemblies holds general jurisdiction over air, land, and sea. In September 2020, the state assemblies in those states which were enrolled as states prior to the Civil War conducted a roll call vote to formally enroll all the states that have entered territorial statehood during and after the Civil War. This enrollment vote carried unanimously and was made retroactive to the date that each state that entered territorial statehood and became eligible for full statehood. This is inclusive of Alaska and Hawaii and effectively removes all the prior territorial state trust and states of states in favor of the actual and complete state which holds general jurisdiction. This has all been accomplished under the provisions of the Northwest Ordinance, and all due public notice has been served. And again, the Northwest Ordinance directly involves Indiana and shows how to set up the assembly process. It too states that at that point, though, I think it's the governor in that role, but that role sunsets once it's fully set. All assets of all states, territorial state trusts, territorial states of states, and municipal state trusts and municipal states of states have been claimed in international and global jurisdictions, and those assets have been rolled into two assets. One containing private assets and one containing public assets held under the authority of our Federation fiduciary, Anna Maria Reisinger. Now, don't be confused. A fiduciary is not any form of an administrator. So don't try and email and say, I want to cancel this because I don't want it. And try, no. That's the same. No, you're not gathering the correct definition for this. Got it, Roxy. All right, I will make sure I put your name in there as well, dear. We're on 17 here. Let me put it here. There we go. So that way we have you in those minutes as we continue here. All right. These assets have been reclaimed for the states of the Union and the living people of this country, and these claims have all been cured in all three jurisdictions, air, land, and sea, for several years. These claims have been duly recorded and posted in all three international and global jurisdictions and provided to the late Queen, the popes, the Lord Mayors, and the United Nations. The American government has arisen and is in place in the form of our properly provenant state assemblies and our unincorporated federation of these states of the Union doing business as, and the is capped. The T is capped. The United States of America. We have the ecclesiastical, lawful, and legal high ground, and we have by all our actions, notices, and words declared justice for the entire world and everyone upon it. Even the indentured servants of the king and the unknowing slaves of the Pope will have their due as living men and women and as lawful persons abiding on the land and soil. We wish for cooperation and good faith and goodwill on the part of all people working under whatever political status that they and nature's God have provided for them, knowing that they are indeed living men and women and must have their share in what we are proposing as a peaceful resettlement of all countries and nations and assets thereof, and an end of both indentured servitude or peonage and enslavement. All right, so those were those key articles. Now, that was all that I had that I wanted to mainly get into, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of what Joe wanted to bring forward. Yeah, Roxy, you've got to actually present more paperwork for more to be accepted. So come to the assembly here. All right, so we want to go ahead and Peacekeeper Task Force news. Okay, so let me make sure this is sharing it. So Peacekeeper, we're on the Peacekeeper Task Force. Let's see. He did state that he did do some spelling and grammatical corrections, but there was an article or two. I want to say the last two. Let me check my messages while that's pulling up to get to the articles. Let's see. This article. Okay, so he had, I guess it was this article here that he did some updating in spelling and everything that we went through in last week's call, of an opportunity to outreach with the assemblies. They're looking for really no more than one of someone from each of the state assemblies to be to support in outreach. I think that's this one. Let's see. To start, let's see. We're adding to the outreach. Maybe that's more of getting a little bit more detail into outreach. And then, this was the assembly liaison here from December 20th that he talked about, from that you could go into about the assembly. This is the next one, adding soil jurisdiction, country sheriff mapping to the website. So he's giving updates on what Joe's been working on with the peacekeeping task force. This is a good one to be able to go into the different areas here. To go into these. These are great. Very informative of going through here to be able to support from the general, how the militia supports within each of the assemblies. And then the key on the update to the peacekeeping task force. So we'll read this real quick. Our office emails have been buzzing with interest over the opportunity for American state national men and women as their state assembly liaison with the peacekeeping task force, and we're here with PKTF anticipated the considerable interest early on. We have linked this article update with the original article along with the associated map designed to help illustrate the growing nationwide roster. The mapping roster for this campaign is similar to the state's mapping roster regarding those state assemblies currently participating with General PKTF service display infrastructure. That's this list here for states, and you'll see Indiana highlighted because in other states, the states have agreed that in all of their marketing out to everyone, whether it's as an outreach or directly with assembly people, of including the Peacekeeper Task Force PKTF news link site to support getting the word out. That general map that it's linked here, but you can go here to find it as well. It provides that surface level information as much as transparent exposure to each participating state assembly website. Visitors to each state assembly website will in turn discover the PKTF site, where they will further discover how lawful, peaceful, and proper peacekeeping is maintained. So it's a very informative website to be able to help support you in what the militia aspect is, what the peacekeeper aspect is, and how it relates to the 4 pillars. Okay, so similar to this approach, we've now stepped up the purpose and intent of PKTF transparency to include but not limited to. So this is the Assembly Liaison State Map. And we'll look at it real quick. So I guess this is getting it set up. So that's already a place to have it ready. Unlike the general PKTF service states map detail, the PKTF Assembly Liaison map detail will be focused entirely on exposure to our readers with basic information as to which state assemblies have an active assembly liaison. This initiative has been carefully designed to help facilities peacekeeping services as an oversight committee contribution. Each state general assembly will have a unique opportunity to have within its own oversight committee at least one supporting member who is its own PKTF assembly liaison. Each assembly liaison will be provided with significant elemental aspects of cutting edge developments currently taking place with PKTF. Meetings that are offered that afford vital information such as this to these liaisons will be exclusive only to those states that have available men and women who are American state nationals. The main call to action spawning this approach to information share is largely due to the fact that a significant portion of our American state assemblies are currently without adequate assembly militia leadership, where all peacekeeping service opportunities begin. Those interested in learning more about enrollment, what are the general steps for the participation process of enrollment, prerequisites, if any, minimal requirements, initial proof of assembly membership if needed, or for any other inquiry, please contact us. And that's, take note, because there are some out there that want to connect with the federation level but refuse to actually connect with their state assembly. And that's how do you feel you're supposed to be that peacekeeping force on your state if you don't even want to connect with anybody on your state? So that doesn't add up, right? You have to actually participate with your state assembly. All right. Let's move this a little bit here. We're just about wrapped up here. All right, so our enrollment form is located with the initial article announcing the position along with details regarding the service at the Federation of States level as an American State National here at the Peacekeeping Task Force Assembly News. So here's the link. Please find Assembly Liaison Enrollment Form button footed just below the article. We very much look forward to hearing from each state assembly soon. Again, only one from each state at this point in time. So don't think 10 of you say you want to do it for the state, which, thank you, that would be great, but you can't. It's only one for each state right now. So here is the link to the original article for this support, and here are the particulars in a nutshell. And so here you go. And then links for updates relative to it as to who did what. All right, so that was all I had for this evening and for Joe. So I want to go through this. A reminder that Anna told us about the med beds, and from an email in November of 2023 that the med beds are available. Here is contact information And their website is down here, tuberosesoundtables.com. And the Anna brought up the suggestion of if the assembly wanted to purchase one, and then how to be able to recoup the costs. If you wanted to support bringing first med bed or med beds to Indiana, here is a link directly to be able to support that. All right, here's all of the contact, social media links and things like that that if you now can go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Indiana Assembly to get all this and other links as well. And you can be able, you can find my schedule here at calendly.com/Indiana Assembly. Here's how to email me with questions, as well as you can email records. But please note, don't email state coordinator, records, treasury, and thinking you're going to get somebody different. It's me. Okay, there isn't others that are filling that role yet at this point in time. Okay, so I'm wearing the multiple hats to be able to support. So just wanted to make sure and bring that in. All right, so we will be adjourning to January 22nd for the Jural Assembly. That is next week is the Jural Assembly for the 22nd. And then February 5th is the next General Assembly call. All right, so I wanted to make sure, and that's 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the remainder of the slides within this presentation are great notes for you to be able to go through to have within each of the presentations as that reminder of what is needed to go through this process. All right, let me switch things over here. There we go. All right. We have, let's see. All right. So that was everything that I needed. We want to send our love and prayers to Joe as he's traveling for his work to be able, so that he is safe in the mountains in this weather. We wish him well, and we should be seeing him on next week's call. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us on the call today, and have a great evening. Peace and love.